For everyone, Indians or US, I would say that everyone should be looking at how to get their protein up around 100 grams per day. We want it somewhere around that 1.2 grams per kg, and that's throughout life. When you're a young person, between your 20s and 30s, you kind of have this honeymoon period where your body will take a lot of abuse and you still look pretty healthy. But you need to adjust to that. And as you get older, you're going to need less calories, but you still need the same amount of protein or even more.
Sir, on behalf of all Indian vegetarians, I want to ask you, what are some examples of high quality food for vegetarian and vegans that are plant-based or dairy-based?
So yogurts or milks or any of those type, kefir. I don't know if that's a product you encounter. Cheeses. So all of the dairy products are great complementary foods to go with it. Eggs are also a great complementary food. Are eggs consumed in the typical vegetarian diet? Yeah.
Sir,
dairy, any dairy form, eggs, fish, those are all excellent complementary proteins to go with any of the cereal grains, or to add to beans or lentils or soy products, any of the legumes. So I think it's pretty easy to put together a diet that's lacto-ovo vegetarian. I think putting together a vegan diet is pretty hard. I think if you do that, you almost have to go to purified protein, something like a soy protein or a pea protein isolate. I'm kind of a fan of shakes. I like using a protein isolate. It's just convenient. I often do it in the morning. I can make a shake and you can run out the door to work or whatever. Coming up with a 40-gram protein breakfast, it takes cooking, it takes time. Most people just don't want to do that. So, I think the more vegetarian, the more vegan you become, I think looking into shakes is good. Dairy shakes are great.
Sir, as far as protein shakes are concerned, do you think whey isolate is the best?
I'm convinced that whey protein is by far the best isolated protein.
Sir, I would love if you can explain the reasoning also. Why whey isolate has really high amino acid profile?
The amino acid profile is great. The digestibility is very rapid. It also has the highest leucine content. So in whey protein, which is like a breast milk protein, I think human breast milk is 60% whey protein. Whey protein has 12% leucine. So you can get with 22, 23 grams of whey protein, you can get a full activation of muscle. So you can get the biggest bang for your buck. You can get the biggest effect in muscle for the fewest calories and the least amount of total protein. So, there's nothing that compares to whey protein for me. There's a dairy protein isolate. Whey protein and dairy protein isolate are also both lactose free, if that's of any interest to people. So that can be useful. But anyway, I've used soy protein, I've used pea protein, I've used fava bean. There's other kinds of ones. To me, they're all a little less useful. They're not quite as good as amino acid profile, but they're okay. But there's also the taste factor. They don't mix as well. Whey protein is also very water soluble, very clean taste. It's just easy to use. It's easy to mix. So that's in my mind. Everything else is a distant second.
Sir, can we conclude that every Indian vegetarian should consume whey isolate in any form or manner?
I think it's one of the easiest things to do without distorting. You can take a diet that you already like, it's culturally acceptable to you, and just bring in a whey protein shake, and you can kind of correct it. You can bring it into breakfast, if you like oatmeal for breakfast or porridge or whatever, that has 4 grams of total protein. You can drink a whey shake with it, or you can actually mix the whey protein into the porridge, and you can basically make it balanced. So to me, it's the least offensive. It's the easiest things to do. It's when my parents were aging and they needed a lot less calories, what I said is, you need your protein here's a shake. Make a shake and have a shake in the middle of the morning to get a big protein dose in. And I think it's an easy thing to do. You don't have to really distort the diet you already like or are used to, and you can accomplish that muscle effect that you need to do.
So what about the satiety value of protein? Because whenever I eat high protein content diet, there is a sense of fullness, there is a sense of satiety, so that I cannot consume the extra calories which I will ultimately be consuming if I am taking a low protein content diet.
Yeah, there's been a lot of research looking at the satiety effect of protein, particularly at the first meal. We don't think there's much effect.
Okay.
You feel full at dinner, but we don't see that it changes your calories for the day because you're going into sleep. But there's a lot of data that at the first meal of the day, having a high protein helps to restrict the total amount of calories. High satiety also keeps you full, so you're less likely to snack. In the United States, we eat sort of socially. The clock says it's 12 o'clock, so I'm going to have lunch. Whether you're hungry or not, I'm going to eat. But what we find is higher protein diets tend to reduce people's desire to snack. Americans tend to snack mid-morning. They're sitting at their desk with a cup of coffee and they're eating something, or mid-afternoon, or late at night they're watching TV and they're eating a snack. We find that higher protein diets don't necessarily reduce what you eat at the meal, but they reduce your desire to snack.
So what will be your parting message for us Indians, us Indian vegetarians, especially we youngsters?
Yeah, so I would, for everyone, Indians or US, I would say that, everyone should be looking at how to get their protein up around 100 grams per day. We want it somewhere around that 1.2 grams per kg, and that's throughout life. When you're a young person, between your 20s and 30s, you kind of have this honeymoon period where your body will take a lot of abuse and you still look pretty healthy. But you need to adjust to that. And as you get older, you're going to need less calories, but you still need the same amount of protein or even more. So learn how to be protein focused. We want, we've used the term muscle centric. As you look at your health for life, we tend to think about, my heart or my liver or we need to think about our muscles. If your muscles are healthy, everything else will fall in line. If you do things with your diet and with your exercise to keep your muscle healthy, that will lead you to a long-term health. And that's internationally the thing we need to do. And, every country has a little different issues, a little different economics, but still focusing on as much protein as you can and exercise as you can to keep your muscles healthy. That's the key for all of us.
दोस्तों, ये वीडियो अगर आपको वैल्यूएबल लगा तो इसे लाइक कर अपने सारे दोस्तों से इसे शेयर कीजिएगा। इस चैनल को सब्सक्राइब तो आप कर ही लेंगे। चलिए मिलते हैं।